La da 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 dee da da la.
Let me tell you, I'm out here from a very far away place.
What's up, everybody? You're on another edition live from Koreatown of the OZone. I am your host, Omar Miller. You can find me on Twitter at Omar Miller, on Instagram at Omar Benson Miller. And here's my brother, Terry.
The icons at Twitter and at Instagram. But go ahead and say it for me.
By the way, he's at Twitter. I think Terry owns Twitter. That's why he's at Twitter, actually.
I'm at Twitter right now. You just can't.
You invented the hologram machine?
Yes, I did.
That's pretty impressive.
Holograms.
I enjoyed it at the Coachella when you put on Tupac. So we also have some very special guests that we had a great time with. Thank you for sitting in on our podcast from The Dirty Sports. Ladies and gentlemen, Andy and Joe. Introduce yourself, fellas.
Good to be here. Yeah, we just crushed it for about 90 minutes. You guys know your stuff, man, which is great because we talked about what a lot of people don't know sports. They claim they know sports, but they don't know sports.
Yeah, so back-to-back podcasts. You guys just did Dirty Sports, and now we're in the OZone. Or are we at the OZone, Terry? We're at the OZone.
You're at the OZone. You want to get in it, but we're at it, dude. Come on.
Here we go. Well, let's get straight in it. And we're going to get straight in it. We're going to start off with the NBA. First and foremost, let's talk about what's going on. You know what I want to do? I want to start first with the Eastern Conference Finals because I feel like there's less to be said because, frankly, the series to me is less interesting.
It's over.
It ended already?
Yeah. They just don't know. Toronto doesn't know.
Unfortunately, I think Toronto does know. This is the problem that I have with them, is that they came out the first two games. We'll do a quick recap of the series. Game 4 is tonight. Toronto actually bounced back in Game 3 and showed a little heart, which I think is a testament to the coach in a lot of ways. I think he talked to them and he got their minds right. Game 1, total laugher. Game 2, so bad that their greatest player had to leave the court. He was so mentally demoralized that he left the court to decompress. How do you leave the court? I can't even leave the court to decompress in a game at the rec center.
They have a decompression chamber for him, I guess.
Oh, why didn't he tell everybody?
I don't know.
Everybody could go jump into it. And I thought the series was over there. Honest. I thought they were going to get swept.
Yeah, I did too. I thought it was a swept, not even going to be close. And I agree. They bounced back, but that's it. That was their game. That was their gimme game.
I think
LeBron is going to come out tonight. He's not going to mess around.
I call myself on our podcast Pre-Nostradamus because I like to predict things. I said at the start of the series, I think they get just destroyed in the first two. They get their We Are the North, one game back home. We're in Canada. They get one, and that's it. The Cavs win the next two. I said Cavs in 5. I thought they'd lose Game 3 just because. You know, they're going to get their one. Where are they going to get? They're going to get that one game back home, and I think it's over. Yeah, I think you're right. They say it can't be any closer than 2-1, but I don't think it's close.
Right.
I think they're done.
It's hard to win 3 games in a row. Any sport, dude.
Any sport. I have a theory about that, actually, because I like to sports gamble, and it is hard. You have streaks that happen. But really, when you're playing the same team, it's difficult to sweep in any sport, which is what's made the Cavs run so far this playoffs.
They won 10 in a row.
So impressive. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been kind of crazy because I watch the games. I don't think that the Cavs have fallen in love with the three-pointer, which I like. I see guys getting to the rack, and I tell you what I see. 2 things that I see. I see guys taking their game very personally. You can see there's a chip on these guys' shoulder. They feel like, man, but you know what? If Katie would have been there last week, y'all wouldn't have beat us. And you can see that they feel that way. It's almost like they want to play the Warriors to show everybody, look, when we're at full steam, nobody's better than us.
But they looked so bad earlier in the season when they played against the Warriors.
Oh, my goodness. I was like, to the point where I was ready.
They can't beat them.
I didn't even think they could beat them in any incarnation of it. And that's a testament to Tyronn Lue.
Right.
I think that what we're getting at now is it's getting tight, and we're really, really into coaching. And another thing, the second thing that I was saying that I see, other than these guys on the Cavs playing with a chip on their shoulder, the thing that I see is this is a group of guys having fun.
Absolutely.
And Toronto doesn't look like they're having fun.
Well, there's nothing fun about being in Toronto. How many times can you listen to the new Drake album? Honestly. I didn't even get through it once. They play it on repeat in the arena.
It's how he's sitting on top? they want to sit on top of a building and jump off after they hear that album. That's why he's sitting on top.
I need a decompression chamber for the views.
Damn.
But I think LeBron James is playing with a chip on his shoulder after the MVP thing. And a lot of people have been saying about LeBron James, I heard this in the MVP talk. It's like, does the real MVP get his coach fired? Well, maybe if he gets a better coach, he does. Like, suddenly they're a lot better than they were under Blatt. I'm not saying David Blatt's a bad coach. Maybe LeBron James is the Cavaliers, and the Cavaliers are LeBron James. He's got the guy he likes, and they're going to be better.
We were having a conversation with one of our brothers, and he was actually saying, so what if he did get the coach fired?
Exactly.
At this point in his career, has LeBron James, who has been to the finals for the past 6 years, not earned the right to say, listen, I need to know who coaches me? And if you listen to the rumor mill, one thing that supposedly turned the season around is after Tyronn Lue became the coach, LeBron James came in a clutch situation, and they were running a huddle, and LeBron started talking, and Tyronn Lue said, hey, man, shut up. I got this. And perhaps in his wisdom,
that's what he needed, right?
In his wisdom, LeBron James actually said, you know what? We need more structure. I don't need to go Pete Rose on it and Tree Rollins and be player coach. I actually just need to be the player, and I need some help. And it seems like it's made a big difference. Another big difference I see is he took that 2 weeks off in the season, which is actually how you decompress, which I think is the smartest thing in the world for him. If you look at LeBron James's numbers as far as his body goes, you're talking about an extra 2.5 NBA seasons in playoff games.
And he's the guy, he plays in the Olympics. He plays in the summer.
Right.
There's always these guys who would just go, well, I'm going to do this, but I'm not going to do this, and I'm going to do this. LeBron James has been playing basketball for thousands of minutes a season since he was in high school. And it's going to wear you down. And honestly, the fact that it hasn't worn him down more is a
testament to his condition.
Right. Yeah.
I agree. And genetic superiority.
Look at Shaq with the late. Shaq used to take entire seasons off and be like, who cares? Who cares with a 6th seed? I'm healthy. I'm going to get 40 and 20.
Who cares? I got 40 and 20 for you.
You can't stop me.
And no matter what our seeding is, they still can't stop me.
Yeah. So good for LeBron James for,
knowing his body.
Yeah. Saying, you know what? It's not about having the best record in the East of all time. And it's not about me leading the league in this and doing that. Let me get my rest. Let's get a ring.
And he's trying to do it for the land.
They look great.
I mean, they look great.
They're playing as a team, man. They gel.
And we're talking about how great they look after a loss. And this was the first time that I've seen a mental lapse for the Cavs in the playoffs this year. What do you think, Andy? I see you look like you want to jump in. Get the double dutch. Get you some.
When we talk about mental lapses, we always have to go to Andy Russo. Our mental lapse expert.
Andy, are you awake?
We don't have to bring this on the Ozone today, Joe. Keep it for Dirty Sports. I have been watching LeBron since, being from Ohio, and I always bring this up. I got to see him play as a freshman. He played before my team in the state finals.
Oh, wow.
So literally, I remember seeing this specimen at 14, 15 years old. I mean, he is so good, and I think you made a great point, Omar, about they're having fun now. You can see in their eyes. Fun. And even that game they lost, when I'm watching that game, I kept thinking, they're missing a lot of open shots. Like Love and Kyrie had an awful start. I think it was like they started out like 3 of 15. They were missing a lot of awful shots. They could have very easily won game 3, I felt. Yeah.
I agree. And I also, and I don't mean this in a bad way, I kind of felt like LeBron was holding back to a certain degree. Like he seems so comfortable he seems so smart now, basketball IQ wise now, of knowing when to fully exert himself and knowing how to rest within the game.
Well, now, do you think that that's him trying not to take over so much so that the team won't just sit around and watch him
I
again,
think so.
Lapsing back into the good old days where you watch the LeBron show instead of being a part of it?
I think so. And I think he also allows the team, while still being there, to work out of their problems collectively.
Right.
And then this time it didn't work out. They didn't figure out how to get Kevin Love properly involved. Nobody wanted to box out Biyombo. And I also think that Kyrie just had an off night, which happens. It just, it is what it is.
And then look at Toronto. They had to do so much just to win a game. That's just a lot of energy to exert just trying to win one game. I mean, come on, dude.
Now tell me this. What's the collective view on why Timothy Mozgov doesn't get to play anymore?
I just don't think he fits anymore.
Yeah, I don't think he fits into the equation. I mean, you got Tristan Thompson coming in, banging, getting the rebounds. What's Mozgov going to bring to the table? And especially when they bring in, the guys off the bench.
Fry.
Channing Frye is balling.
Fry has been such a great pickup for them.
Oh, my goodness.
I mean,
and you know what? And I'll go on record and saying, I actually, when they picked him up, I was like, what are they doing? Because I remember Channing Frye being a monster in college. I can't remember where he went to school. Arizona.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, a monster. But I remember when he got to the league being like, he got his money and now he's chilling. And he's playing with a chip on his shoulder. Like, there's an attitude that you see with them that I really, really appreciate.
Yeah, Channing Frye is a guy who, because the way the NBA has changed, and we talked about this at length on the Dirty Sports, the way all these guys shoot threes now, he came into the league, he's a power forward, he's tall, but he's a little bit soft, but he has a nice outside jumper, and it's like, oh, but he can't bang around. And now 3 years later, it's like, if you're 6'8" and you can hit a three, you have a place on the court with LeBron James.
He's in style now.
Yeah. And
there's a place for you. You're right.
He finds those guys and he gets them. LeBron is better than anybody, in my opinion, in the league of getting guys great looks because everybody's focused on LeBron James.
Right.
And he's like, well, now you're open.
And I think this is why they're successful now, because you used to be able to focus on him, but now Kevin Love is feeling comfortable in his own skin, so he can go out there and dominate. He's banging the boards. He's hitting, what was he like? He had almost 8 rebounds in the first quarter of the other game.
Yeah. So much of it is confidence.
Yeah.
Now the thing that I want to talk about, though, is one thing I love about watching the games is when Jeff Van Gundy announces the games. Because I feel like Jeff Van Gundy keeps it 100, and that's why he doesn't have a job in the NBA other than just announcing, in my opinion. Because, honestly, he talks about it. He's like, man, if they called the fouls properly, accordingly, Shaquille O'Neal would still be shooting in a gym somewhere. And it's the truth.
Yeah.
I wanted to cover a topic, and the topic that I want to cover is how they've been brutalizing certain players in the playoffs. On the Western front, it's Steven Adams. And on the Eastern Conference, it is no doubt LeBron James. I'm all for physical play. I'm a big fan of, the way that the game was played in the 90s before this softer version of the NBA showed up, the jump shooting version. But I'm seeing plays where they're coming out with the intent of hurting LeBron James. You got guys pulling at him full speed, pulling him down. Obviously, everybody wants to talk about the flop, but I think that what happens is that he has to overemphasize what they're doing to him for him to even get the respect of what they're doing to him.
Right, and a lot of it's premeditated because you're talking about guys coming out in the media and saying, well, we're going to have to get a little bit more physical and do this or do that to him. Where is it okay to ruin somebody's career?
Exactly. I'm also, being a Knicks fan and growing up in the 90s, obviously I'm a fan of that physical style of play, but I know why the NBA did what they did. Let's not get all our stars hurt, smashing each other around.
Yeah, you can understand
Let's keep everybody on the court. Also, by definition, contact while you're shooting is a foul, so they're kind of going letter of the law to keep the stars healthy. But then it's got to be across the board.
That's what I was going to say.
A foul for Steph Curry.
Exactly.
It has to be a foul for LeBron James because he, no matter what anybody says, is the biggest star in the NBA.
I don't care what anybody says.
And he should be treated like we used to talk about. Jordan had his own set of foul
Jordan rules.
The Jordan rules.
Magic said, don't get too close to Jordan in the Dream Team picture because it's a foul,
Which was true.
Yeah. But LeBron James, he has to flop to
get normal calls.
To even look like what happens if you bump Steph Curry.
Yeah,
Steph
Curry,
Curry.
they do that. They say, LeBron's crying. He's crying.
Right.
I mean, come on, dude. I mean, you just grabbed this guy going full speed by his shoulders. He still hit the shot.
And the thing is, when he does get fouled sometimes, he is just so strong and powerful, it doesn't look as brutal as it is. Exactly. If it was a little, small guy like me, I'd be unconscious.
This is what happens. Yeah. You got huge guys going at him. Biombo is a specimen himself.
Right.
Yeah.
And we got a caller who wants to talk about that.
Who do you have?
DC Sly. Welcome back to the Ozone.
Hey, what's going on?
DC Sly, we have a couple guests here from another podcast called Dirty Sports, and they know what the hell they're talking about. We're knee-deep in a conversation about your specialty, which is Midwest basketball. Even though his name is DC Sly is actually from?
Indiana.
There you go. And he actually gave us a great prediction at the beginning of the playoffs about the Pacers being able to take it to the limit with Toronto. even though he thought they were going to come through in that game 7, which I actually thought they were going to come through too. I just don't believe in Toronto. But we're talking about this Eastern Conference matchup right now, and one of the things that we're on is we're talking about this different set of rules that applies to guys based on their physicality, based on their biology. So like Steph Curry and smaller guys get different calls than say a LeBron James. I personally feel like it's been clear that they're trying to hurt LeBron James at this point in that series. What do you think about that?
Well, it's been a given throughout the league for years, man. That's just how it goes. You know, you look at Shaq. You know, you get pummeled. The big guys get pummeled, and the smaller guys, they you know, little contact. You know, you get the whistle. So I mean, we see what's going on. That's just how it is. I think overall the league wants to promote that skillful up and down play and the excitement, and if you got a little too much contact on those guys, they can't really do what they need to do. Because, I mean, that's part of the reason they took away the handshake rule back in the day.
And so now, with that being in mind, how do you think it plays out to fare for the future of the big man? Because I personally feel like the big man is super relevant. Larry Bird came out with a quote saying that he thought there was going to be I'm paraphrasing here, but that the small man at one point didn't even have a place in the league. And you're talking about a guy who's 6'9" himself, by the way, for Bird. And now you look at the game, they do promote that up and down. They do promote touch fouls. But if you get pounded, for some reason, it's not the same. What do you think the big man's influence has been thus far on this playoffs?
It's spotty. It's spotty here and there. You know, they make an influence. I mean, you got Bismack. You know, he was doing this thing. You see guys out there getting the boards and blocking some shots. But I think the big man has had to evolve and be more athletic and be able to get up and down the court and run with those guys. And then they get to stay on the court a little bit longer. You know, I think the league sees that post up back to the basket play is kind of slowing things down. So I think that kind of doesn't get promoted as much, I guess, like I said.
Yeah, and the problem I have with that is, I mean, it's just a matter of ideology on what kind of game you like to watch. And I actually like to watch the big man game with the back to the basket, and you see it being super effective with LeBron. LeBron obviously is completely unstoppable in transition, but you see him take smaller guys and go back to the basket, and there's no answer for him there, because ultimately the goal of the game, as it was taught to me, is to shoot the ball as close to the rim as possible. Now that doesn't seem to be the goal. It seems like the big man has been kind of like vanquished to the idea that you run around and you run sprints and go chase the ball, so then pass it back to the little guy as quickly as you can so he can throw up another jumper.
Yeah, he's a compliment to
he's a compliment as opposed to being the A side, if you will.
See, I think we're going to see an evolution in basketball the way we always have. I mean, look at, back in the 70s and the early 80s, it was like, oh, let's transition. And then suddenly you had Magic Johnson, who's 6'9", running Showtime fast breaks. And it's like, whoa. And then you had these big, LeBron James is essentially a point guard at times. And then it was the Michael Jordan and the Kobe's and we just need a guy who can score the basketball. And then you get Kevin Durant, who's 6'11", who's basically a scoring guard at 6'11". I think the next iteration is going to be the big man who can run the floor and shoot the three like these little guys. As a Knicks fan, I'm like, look at Porzingis. He's already got a little bit of a three-point shot. So it's the next iteration, this same game that we're watching, but with the big physical athletes who always seem to find a place in the league.
And the issue there is then how are they going to officiate the game? Because the bigger the guys get, automatically the more physical the game gets. And I mean, I want to talk about bad officiating in general. I've been watching the games. I've seen fouls. I can think of the game yesterday. They called a foul on Andrew Bogut on a jumper at the free throw line where literally he swiped at the ball and was a good 8 inches away from the ball.
Right.
Or the hand.
Right.
And they called a foul. And this is I think this goes along with their idea of they want to promote the up and down play. It's almost like a preventative drone strike. Because what they want to do is they want to call fouls on people, whether or not they're actually fouling them, to deter you from don't even think about getting close to the shooter.
Well, you look at how the NBA, we just talked about, look at how the NBA has changed the style of play in 30 years. So much has changed in the last 30 years in the NBA. We've gone this way, we've gone that way. The pendulum swings back and forth. One thing has remained the same, though. The exact same guys are reffing it.
Right. And you know what's even worse than that is that they're referring to Steve Jobby.
Oh,
I mean, like Steve Jobby, he's like one of the biggest coaches out there.
Oh, Steve Jobby was a bum. I watched his whole career, and he was like a bum.
He was one of the worst refs of all time.
You're going to refer to him as the expert?
Are you kidding?
You might as well come check on the Ozone podcast.
Yeah, Joe mentioned this on our show last week, and I agree. They need to just get younger refs. They got these old guys running up and down. Exactly.
Yeah.
Get people who are younger, in shape, more familiar with how the game's played now.
Right now.
Why would they do that? Did we get it right?
Yeah.
Well, but this is ultimately, that speaks to a deeper conversation about the potential conspiracy, if you will, of the guiding of the game that the NBA actually is involved with. I think just like DC Sly has offered, they want to promote a certain style of play. I don't know if you can go as far as to go all out and call it being rigged, but they want to promote a certain style of play, and the players better fall in line or you're going to be on the bench.
They always talk about the NBA, and David Stern was like the king of this. We want it to be a global game.
And that goes to something you were talking about, which is with the idea that this is an American game and America has some of the best athletes in the world, the more globalization of the game opens itself up to a different set of rules.
Exactly.
Like the international rules of shot blocking and, the Euro step and all that.
I mean, Yao Ming was a big Chinese player, but on average, most of the Chinese
population,
trillions of people are going to be outside shooting small guard types than banging around in the post. So,
and the funny thing about that is, of those trillions of people, at least 1 trillion of those people were sired by Stephen Adams' father.
That is a uber fact right there. But you know what? You bring up a good point. It is about marketability, because a guy like me, like we were saying earlier, I can look at Steph Curry and go, oh, I'm a 5'9" little white guy here from Cincinnati. Maybe if I practice enough threes, maybe I work.
Yes.
Maybe I can get a spot in college. But I mean, that's it's a lot.
At 34, not likely.
Oh, okay. Not right now, but you know what I'm saying?
What is this, the rookie?
Where is,
he never thrown with his clock hadn't started yet. He's good.
His eligibility is still good.
He's on missionary work.
But it's a lot easier, It's a lot easier than the guy who's 7 foot. That's all I'm trying to say.
No, and you're right, and I agree with you fully, is that, there's a marketability there. DC Sly, we're not going to take up your whole day because we're going to be sitting up here cutting up for a while. Lay it out for me. What do you think happens from this point forward in the Western Conference? And give me a prediction for what you think, how it plays out in the finals.
Man, I mean, it's up in there. It's up in there. I still think Cleveland got the steals to pay the bills. I don't like their I don't know, it's almost like a lack of effort. They're kind of lacking that certain that je ne sais quoi, I guess, and sometimes. But
I mean, they've only lost one game.
Yeah, but I think they'll go ahead and close out Toronto. But it's just something about them. On paper I like them, but then when I watch them, sometimes it's kind of like, But yeah, I'll look for them to close out Toronto and take it to the championship. I don't think they're going to win. I think the winner's going to come out of the West. So.
Wow.
And then in the West, I think Golden State should be a little bit worried about how Oklahoma beat them last game.
And you're talking about the style that they beat them, right? Not just with the numbers, but the actual what they used to beat them.
Yeah, if you look at the stats, the takeaway on the stats on that is like, I don't have them in front of me, but Oklahoma out-rebounded them. They had a lot more block shots than them, and they got to the free throw a lot more than them. And that, to me, symbolizes that a team is more aggressive. They're probably dominating the interior. And, that, when you get beaten those stats, those are kind of like those concrete stats. They always stick.
Yeah, those numbers don't lie.
Yeah.
That's a good point. And it's just funny. That's what we were talking about earlier. I feel like this is the first time where you've seen a team actually look better than the Warriors. Like, not just like, oh, they look better in this game or in this quarter. They look like a better team than the Warriors at this point.
Yeah, they've got the dynamic that can give the Warriors a problem.
That's what it is. I think it's a matchup issue for them.
Exactly. I mean, you got Adams in there. It's Bogut. He's 7 foot, but he's not going to stay on the court that long. And he's a little bit slower, and I just think that you look at their starting lineup. Even though Durant, like you said earlier, is a scoring guard type, but they're starting 6'10", 6'10", and 7 foot out there.
That's a problem.
And then you look at the Warriors. Yeah,
he had a
they
few
got
blocks last night. Durant himself, I think he had two or three blocks.
Yeah. And then the Warriors got what's Green, 6'7"? I mean, it's
maybe
he's a great player.
And they're listing him 6'7", so I'd like to meet him because I bet you he's like 6'5", 6'6".
Yeah.
Because they have Festus Ezeli listed at 7 feet, right? He's a 7-footer. He's supposed to be a 7-footer, but he's not 7 feet tall. No. Well,
DC Sly, we appreciate you. Thanks for calling in. You're always a friend of the Ozone. We're gonna come back to you and see when this whole thing plays out and see what predictions you had that came to fruition and which ones didn't.
All right,
Sly.
All right,
take it easy.
Like,
it's just an interesting dynamic that's going on in the West. Because to transition into the Western Conference Finals, it's very interesting. I have to say, I thought that the Golden State Warriors had caught another break, like they did last year, by having to play Oklahoma as opposed to the Spurs. And I actually got into it with a guy on Twitter about it, and he was right. And it's the fact that realistically, if OKC is playing like this, they were the better team than the Spurs at this particular point.
Right.
And this is causing some serious matchup problems for the Warriors. I was watching the games with my mom, and she loves the Warriors, just like every woman loves the Warriors, by the way. Every
They're so
girl.
cute.
Yeah, exactly.
like a little
That's
puppy.
why I take Steph Curry home in my purse.
and then she can bring Riley through. And it's like, oh my God, can we talk about the game? And so when you look at it from that perspective, I was telling her that one thing about the Warriors is that they always, over the past year and a half, have looked poised. They didn't look poised yesterday. They didn't look poised in the game. They didn't look poised on the bench after, like when they were getting blown out and they had to sit there being blown out. And I want to talk about the surprisingly vanishing MVP.
Yeah.
Steph Curry in these two, I would like to look up the numbers, but I'm too lazy to do so. In the two losses, has given me a lot of Eric Karros. And when I say a lot of Eric Karros, I think my man Brano will understand what I mean, in the sense that he gives you a lot of meaningless bombs, a lot of meaningless numbers that haven't had an impact on the game. Maybe he ends up with 25 or 28 or whatever it is, but I don't feel like that's like, it hasn't had that feel where you're like, oh my God, you get to Steph Curry.
Right, where you impose his will on the game.
Exactly.
Right.
And what do you think, this is his elbow? Do you think this is why LeBron was saying he went 90, 50, 40? What do you know? Is it led the league? What do you think that it really is?
He's not really a complete player like that. What is he, 6'2"? LeBron's 6'8".
6'3".
Yeah, and he's a complete player. Steph Curry does not play defense. And once you have a guy,
swear he's all world.
I know they do. I know they do. But if you talk about a guy like Russell Westbrook who attacks him nonstop, makes him play on both sides of the ball, he's not the player that he was before.
Speak on it, brother. I believe that this is a big component of what's going on with Steph. Me personally, and that component is the forcing of him to play both sides of the court. It's hard to have legs, no matter what kind of condition you're in, to be an offensive and defensive threat. Westbrook is at your neck.
He is so quick. I mean, just why I don't think people realize how.
I agree.
Right.
You need to see him play live.
Right.
A couple years ago, I went and I watched him play and destroy the Clippers. And at that point, I came to the realization, especially now watching it too, I think he may be the most explosive player the game has ever seen.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I mean, like when he gets a step,
when
he's to the rack.
When he's to the rack, man, it's get out of the way.
Get out of the way.
I also think something that's affecting Steph, and I saw this in one play yesterday. There was one play where there was a loose ball situation, and he kind of corralled it, and then he starts dribbling toward the free throw line, and there's a bunch of Thunder back. And Clay comes up behind him, and Clay's standing at the 3-point line, and Steph forces this like one-handed runner thing.
Oh, yeah, I saw that. I know what you're talking about.
And I said to myself, Steph kind of came out of nowhere, and he didn't come out of nowhere. He's obviously been playing great for a few years, but he wins the MVP last year. They win the championship. He has a great regular season this year, but suddenly now it's the 2-time MVP Steph Curry, to me, it was like that was him forcing a play because he's the MVP. When he is the MVP because of the way he shares the ball and the way he gets his own shot in rhythm and the way he does all this stuff, I think the pressure is suddenly on Steph Curry.
I
to be
think
the
it's
man.
on him,
Definitely.
and I think it's on Steve Kerr.
Yeah.
I think we have to see because, as our friend of the Ozone, Laker Quick, pointed out, Luke Walton's record was better than Steve Kerr's this year.
Yeah, it's true.
And I think that now we have to see the 7-time NBA champion come up with some stuff that is going to change the game, because what I think OKC is growing inside of them is a belief that, you know what?
We can win.
We can win. And the way that they've been winning, the way they won 73 games is not how they're going to beat us.
No.
That's not what's going to beat OKC. They're going to have to come up with something different, which is what you see now. Speak on this, because I know that this really rubbed you the wrong way. You had to call me during the game. Is the nut shot that Draymond Green delivered to Steven Adams?
Yeah,
that Nutbush City Limits. He gave the Nutbush City Limits.
Yeah, and it's ridiculous though, because now Draymond Green comes out after the game and makes it seem like it was an accident, or I just accidentally was finishing my shot. And dude, come on, man. You kicked the dude in his balls.
You know what it was? You know the end scene of Karate Kid when he does the kick? That's basically what he did to his nuts.
Daniel's son. He went Daniel's son.
Yeah.
Except it's Draymond's son.
We were talking on our show how you guys used to play video games together, right? As kids. I would always play video games with my brother, and the second I knew I had him and it was over was him when he would reach over and like try to smash my controller out of my hand. When you're going, man, just play the game, but you're so out of your element. You're so, I'm so in your head that you're doing something you're reaching over and trying to smash my controller
and
during a game of Madden. It's like, I got you.
Yeah, but guess what? The way to beat the Warriors is not stopping Steph Curry, is Draymond Green.
I agree.
Yeah.
Draymond Green is the heart and soul of that team.
I agree fully.
And now you put the big man on him, and you've taken him out of his element, and now he's not the same player anymore.
Right.
And nor is that team. And they are there's serious trouble coming, dude.
And I'm telling you what else that they've done, because I actually hit on game 1 that they won, and they were like plus 375 or something crazy like that.
There you go.
I believed that they were going to win that game, even when they came out and were getting blown out in the first half. And one of the things that they do, which is extremely effective, I've seen pretty much on every level, they run a man switch defense. So it's almost like they're playing a man zone. And what ends up happening is they have enough athletic guys so that anybody can guard the perimeter, even if that means Adams has to come out and guard the perimeter. And what that does, I saw the Warriors all year hit open shots. But now those shots that, and listen, Klay Thompson, Steph, even Draymond Green, even Mo Spates.
Right.
These guys are lights out. If you give them,
Harrison Barnes,
Barnes.
yeah. If they see the basket, it's lights out. But now you're talking about shooting contested shots, and I haven't seen the basketball IQ of the Warriors kick in to say it's better for me to kick this or to drive as opposed to taking this contested shot, because you're seeing Conley? I'm blanking on my man's name. The other center for OKC. Cantor.
Oh, yeah, Enes
You're seeing Cantor, Adams, and Ibaka out there actually rebounding.
Right.
Just like DC Sly was saying, you're talking about going 6'10", 6'11", 7 foot. Those guys are actually getting those boards. I've watched the Warriors all season take bad shots and then
not paying for them.
And not paying the tab.
Yeah.
They did not pay the tab. And it seems like OKC has said, you know what? If we box out, we actually can come down and score.
Well, I said this from the beginning of the series, too. When you have Durant and you have Westbrook, two guys that can, lose their minds. If one of those guys comes out and just has their all-time game, you're not beating them.
No.
And so
right.
The longer that they can go and make it a shorter and a shorter series, the better chance they have. If this goes to Game 7, it's anybody's. You can't say
I agree.
The Warriors.
I agree.
Well, let me ask you this, though. Now, Draymond Green, he might be up for suspension. What do you think the NBA is going to do?
They've set a precedent.
Yeah, they've set a precedent. But also, do you think that'll be any funny play as far as getting a guy like Steven Adams out of the game?
Oh, you know they're going to get.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, they want this. The
need
NBA
7 games out of this.
Needs
Milk it.
7
They
games
need to
out
milk
of this.
you.
Yeah.
Because it's turning into be a better series than everybody thought it was going to be. They have 5 now, but I think you could say they're going to go at least 6. I'd be amazed if the Warriors didn't grab one more. But I wouldn't though, actually, because this is punching the bully in the mouth.
Right.
Now we need to see if Mike Tyson can get off the mat.
Right.
And this is what we're trying to see. But I think that you can count on some suspect officiating, especially to get the bigs out for OKC.
Yeah, because the NBA is going to be like, oh, well, you got Draymond Green out here. Let's even it up. Let's get Steven Adams out of here.
Well, I think Steve Kerr is going to learn a lesson from his old coach, Phil Jackson, and he's going to take that last guy off the bench over there and start running him into some people. And, cause, suddenly some guy who never plays any minutes is going to be in Steven Adams' face the way suddenly JoJo English was playing in the Eastern Conference Finals and punching Derek Harper in the face.
I remember
that. 4 minutes a game, and suddenly he's tackling him into David Stern in the front row.
Yeah, what about that? Them trying to hurt everybody.
It's interesting because we covered how they're trying to hurt LeBron, and I think that's pretty obvious. I feel like they're trying to hurt Steven Adams, to be honest.
Yeah.
Because there was a play that nobody's really talked about. They ran it back a few times, but there was a play where Festus Ezeli literally took a carriage ride on the back of Steven Adams,
right,
and brought him to the ground, brought the 7-footer to the ground, and then jumped on his back. And it caused him to, it was like they were in the romper room or something like that. That's what it was. Cowboy. Get him, boy. Get him. And it was really, interesting because with the way that they hand out flagrants now in the NBA.
Come on, dude.
Nobody gets a flagrant if you foul the guy that weighs more than 260 pounds.
And they review every play.
Oh,
it's
it takes so long.
They review every play. But you know what? I'm really growing to like Steven Adams.
Me too.
I mean, he grew up.
Is this because he called them monkeys? Is that why you're growing to like The truth is out.
Okay, well,
Andy's a racist.
That's exactly why I am a racist. The first ever racist on the OZone podcast. I will take that to my grave.
Other than its hosts.
What I like is I don't think he's getting faced.
No.
I mean,
no, he's not.
He's like such a nice guy,
he
right?
is.
He does. He's
and
a nice
like,
racist.
And just like a dumb guy where like he doesn't even know to be offended.
Like, oh, dude, you hurt my back.
Yeah.
Right. Are you okay?
Kick me in the nuts, man. Kick me right in the nuts.
My brothers growing up used to grab my balls before dinner. I'm used to it.
And what's amazing is I saw some stat that I just plain and simply don't believe. Where they say that Steven Adams is only 22 years old.
Did you see the picture that they showed yesterday with him without the gruff?
No.
Oh, yeah,
Does
man.
he look young?
Babyface. You wouldn't even tell he's the same guy.
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
Yeah,
Really?
It literally looks like he hibernated for a winter and then came out right with the hair.
And he came out with the Cro-Magnon.
Yeah, exactly.
It looked like he grew a fake mustache to like get into a bar.
Yeah.
He's like, well, I'm gonna put on this mustache. Maybe that.
Yeah, because, I mean, as of right now, this version of him that we see looks like he could have his own 8 kids and be someone's uncle.
Right.
Yeah.
He definitely looks eligible to be, he looks like he could be in the movie about Moby Dick. He really looks like he looks like he could be one of those fishermen that's like,
Captain Ahab.
I'll just say this.
He used to be a wildling on Game of Thrones. You know?
Keep him away. If him and Gronk are ever in the same room together, him and Rob Gronkowski, if you put that much Cro-Magnon in a room together, I don't know what could happen. The world might
it's
explode.
going to be a bro fest.
Yeah.
It's gonna be, whatever the New Zealand version of bro fest is. You know what else is happening as a bro fest? What we have this month coming from the 5-4 Club. Guys, I don't know how you guys feel about it, but I take my fashion seriously, as you can see by what I'm wearing today. Now, for just $60 a month, you get a package of freshly curated, professionally styled clothes delivered to your doorstep that you get to keep. Yeah, it's too good to be true. And guess what? It's $150 worth of clothes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Good deal.
You guys might want to sign up for this. And if you use the promo code OMAR, you're going to get a good percentage off of that first couple packages. And myself, I think it's a good idea. You should head over to 54club.com and sign up.
I'm wearing it.
I will definitely go to 54club.com because Joe always makes fun of me. I love sweatpants, and it's time for me to graduate to being an actual man and not wearing sweatpants every day.
There's that. And then you can actually, maybe you could, a dirty sports joke, but then the condoms are for pussies may have another reason, because those condoms may actually be for you, Andy.
Oh, that's
you never
that's
know.
great. That's
when you
great.
get your style together, you never know what could happen. I don't know if 5-4 wants to be lewd on their ad spot, but what can you do? Moving on, I want to talk something else about it's still, we're still staying in the basketball realm, but I want to speak on what basketball. I guess we could call him a legend in some sense. Bo Kimball has advice for Chris Bosh. Really? Did you read about this?
No. But what kind of advice could Bo Kimball have for?
No, well, for those who don't know, Bo Kimball was on the team where his teammate Hank Gathers collapsed on the court and died. And he had a different sort of heart situation, but he had a heart situation. And that was when they were, at Loyola Marymount. And
then Bo went into the NBA, would shoot his free throws lefty in honor of him and all that. I remember Bo.
Remember that?
Yeah.
And so, this is what Bo had to say recently. He said, there's so many other things he could do with his life. Hank Gathers had the same thing. Hank could have been a comedian, an actor, or did speaking engagements. It's not worth the risk. I would just say absolutely not. Don't do it. If Hank had the ability to do it again, he wouldn't have paid the ultimate price. I'm sure Bosh has children, and they're going to need their father around as much as possible. So, and then they talked to Hank Gathers' brother, Derek, and he said, to this day, I am just getting over the loss of my brother. Just fall back and retire. And it brings up an interesting point. It's sad to say, but what's the point of him sitting on the bench and hanging out?
And he's got 2 rings. It's not like
he's got 2 rings.
He's accomplished so much already.
He's a stud.
I think there's two sides of this. Obviously, he's got all the money you could possibly need, right? He had a max contract, and then he had a great contract with the Heat. He's got 2 rings. No one can say Chris Bosh didn't have a great NBA career, all-star. He was all they had in Toronto for a while.
Right.
But then you look at the other side. This isn't 1987 and in Mar Vista or wherever Loyola Marymount is. Those games weren't even televised. Right. And, this is 2016. Every team's got 7 trainers. If Chris Bosh were to go down on the court right now, are we losing Chris Bosh? I think it's like a different time and place. And if he's willing to take the risk, it would be hard for me to give up playing NBA basketball.
But that would be one of the worst things that ever happened in the NBA, not just to the Heat, because watching this guy collapse on the court just because he wanted to get one more game in is just not worth it. And nobody knows, even with the medical background and history and whatnot, you don't know what's going to happen out there. Yeah. And, I don't think that they're holding back because they don't want to pay him the money. No. Although someone insinuated, but
there's a benefit to him being on the shelf as far as like cap space or something like that. But I don't think that. They make way more money than they pay Chris Bosh if Chris Bosh is playing and they actually are playing the Cavs in the finals. I tell you that much in the Eastern Conference Finals.
But watching this guy collapse in the middle of a game and
that would be
in
horrific.
Front of 40,000 people, man,
and in front of probably 2 or 3 million people, depending on when it happened, when it would happen. But I think there's one more element too, Prano, that we have to think about is Chris Bosh in the position health-wise, I guess pretty much like we're all in, to where we don't know what's going to happen anyways. So does
what
him?
He's saying he's healthy.
Yeah, he's saying whether or not I play basketball, blood clots could actually have an effect on me having grabbing a bucket of wings. Right. And in that sense, he's making a really strong argument to say I should be able to continue my dream, because obviously if you look at his numbers, he's productive.
Yeah. And not to do a complete shameless plug here, but your character on Ballers, the whole thing is his struggle with what am I if I'm not a football player? Maybe Chris Bosh, I've seen he has some hilarious YouTube videos out there and whatever, but maybe he doesn't know what am I if I'm not in the NBA? And is it
alive?
Is it worth what? Does anybody care about me if I'm not an NBA player, Chris Bosh, but I'm still alive?
I think so. And if they don't, they have to get over it. He has a family, and there's other things that he can do in life besides trying to play basketball. Eventually, he's going to have to give it up anyway.
Yeah, you see these guys who walk. Guys have walked away. Calvin Johnson's walking away from the NFL.
Yeah,
but there's plenty of guys who haven't walked away, and it has in the end cost them their life. I don't think everybody is mature enough or confident enough to say, yeah, whatever. I got a couple $1 million. I'm going to go on and do something else. Look at the guys who have hung on too long and it's affected them, and now they have brain damage, or now they have bad knees, or now they have this.
Why you got to talk about me like that?
I think it's just so tough for some of these guys.
Of course.
Obviously, right?
You can go down the list. Dan Marino, Brett Favre, all these guys. They walk away and said, "I want to spend time with my family," and then in 2 weeks, I'm coming back.
Peyton Manning should not have been playing this year.
No, my goodness.
The guy, and truth be told, they're on his head about, pun intended, about him using growth hormone. This guy had a surgery where his neck had to get fused to his back.
Yeah.
He should use whatever he needs to use to make sure that his head doesn't get knocked off, including not playing.
And he was willing to risk his health to play.
Yeah. And that was his choice, and they rode out with him, and they got a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And you remember when Eddie Curry was on the Bulls and they deactivated him because of his heart? And then the Knicks, my goddamn Knicks, traded a couple first-round picks for him and then gave him a max contract. I mean, he survived on the court, unfortunately, for the Knicks, but
oh wow!
But he said he was healthy to play, and he was healthy to play. I mean, he wasn't healthy to play well, but he was healthy to play. I think no one knows an athlete's body like an athlete. That's for sure. Hank Gathers obviously made. I don't know if he had that decision or if anybody told him there was anything wrong with him at that point. But I can't fault Chris Bosh for playing, but I trust Chris Bosh, knowing how he feels more than Bo Kimball knowing how Chris Bosh feels.
Right. That's a good point. And I also think that given that situation, you got to go to the scriptures on this one and say, tomorrow really isn't promised to any of us. I mean, any of us could get that God forbid, we could get that random clot, on the way out of Koreatown. You could just have too much MSG. And
one dim sum too many.
I can have one dumpling too many.
That barbecue will cause some major clots.
It could. It really could. I mean, it's I don't know. I find it interesting. And just to wrap this side of the story up, I want to lay something on you guys. So, when Hank Gathers fell to the floor, when he had the crazy heart attack, they were playing the Portland Pilots. And you know who the point guard was on the Portland Pilots?
Who?
Eric Spoelstra.
Wow.
I mean, this life just, the more you live it, if you don't see that coincidence isn't coincidence, you're crazy.
So maybe that's the answer right there.
Maybe
right?
that's the answer. I mean, this is what I'm saying. It's like, wow, are you kidding me? I don't know. When I found that out, it sent a chill up my spine. I was like, wow, really?
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, if I'm Eric Spoelstra, right? I mean, Chris Bosh is your superstar. He's probably like, I was there for the Hank Gathers thing. You seem fine. You'll be all right. I was there, and you look a lot healthier than he did. You should keep playing for me.
I mean, it's crazy though. There's no way you can connect those dots.
No.
That's like, I bet you when Spoelstra first heard it, he was probably like, what? What's wrong with him?
Wow.
And it's not an identical, problem,
No.
but at the same time, it's a heart problem. You're talking about a circulation problem, and you know what I mean? Something.
You don't know if that clot, by him being an athlete like that, if it's going to move that any faster through his body. There's no answer.
We don't know anything is what we've come to the conclusion.
Yeah.
We're a whole
this
bunch
case
of
is
dummies. So this case is closed because we don't know shit.
I'm actually a doctor. I have been holding back on this.
I can tell.
I think he should retire and go work at Jurassic Park.
Oh, you've been watching those memes.
Yeah, too many memes. I'm on Twitter too much.
Andy started those memes.
He hasn't been watching them.
He runs 400 sports accounts on the internet. He's responsible for the entire Chris Bosh is a dinosaur meme.
Hilarious. All right, well, let's move into something else here. Let's get to our favorite. Let's talk some baseball. Let's speak on some baseball because as it is right now, there's some surprises going on in Major League Baseball. One being that the Astros completely suck.
Yeah. Dallas Keuchel.
Dallas Keuchel is stinking the joint up.
But he was almost like a one-hit wonder, though. They gave him too much credit, and he hadn't done it consistently. You have to be able to do it year in and year out. 1 year does not make a career,
Or it does if you get the right deal, I guess.
Yeah, that's true.
But I don't see Houston pulling out of this tailspin. Like, I don't see them getting better and all of a sudden it comes together.
But nobody's running away with that division, though. So they still have an opportunity.
But I can tell you this, are they in the West? They're in the Central. They're in the West, right?
West.
Yeah, they're in the West. But in the Central, the Kansas City Royals have woken up.
Yeah.
And they're playing that championship baseball, and anything can happen. I mean, I maintain, I've never seen a team like that Kansas City Royals team from last year. I mean, I'm talking about one man for all and all for one. Those guys found a way to win. Somebody moved the guy over. Somebody stole a sack. Somebody got the big strikeout. Somebody did something. Those guys know how to win. They got the same core group. It's going to be very difficult to get by these guys. And they got hot. They went into Chicago and treated Chicago like Chicago was still the White Sox of old.
Yeah.
They smacked them up pretty good.
But, they're going to have to get some starting pitching. Their bullpen is.
They should have signed Johnny Cueto.
They should have signed Cueto.
It's just unbelievable to me that we have this thing when we talk about you can draw the conclusion of racism or of just underappreciation or whatever. Johnny Cueto is second in numbers only to Clayton Kershaw, or his cousin Clayton Kershaw, for the past 5 years.
And you know what? I'm glad you bring that up because being a guy from Cincinnati, I always felt, again, he's just so underappreciated because it's a small market. And one of our other friends, Andy Lazarus, he was texting me the other day about that. He always texts me. He's like, man, I love Cueto. I go, look at his numbers.
Numbers is
phenomenal. The amount of innings, the amount of strikeouts. When he goes out there and he kind of had, maybe a little hiccups in the playoffs, but he got over that last year in the World Series against the Mets. The guy is lights out for the most part.
I'm talking about lights out.
Yeah.
I'm talking
and he's doing it right now.
As good as anybody in the league. And his hairstylist.
Yeah.
Whoever hooks him up with that Predator look is just they deserve their own contract, max deal.
I mean, I absolutely agree with you guys that Cueto was a perfect fit for them. But you got to look at how they did it last year and the way that they've been able to put together the roster that they have is they're paying all these. Nobody's a superstar, but everybody, like you said, does a job, moves the guys over, run the bases well, plays defense, gap hitters, and come August again. The Milwaukee's going to be out of it, and the Braves are going to be out of it, and all these teams that are going to be out of it, suddenly they just pull the Cueto of this year, they get a rental, and they manage to pay all these guys to be the team, and they bring in a big arm for August, September, October. I mean, it worked last year. Why can't it work again this year?
Well, one of the reasons why is because they've given away a lot of the kids in the minor leagues that they used to get a Cueto, and now I don't think that their system is like it was before.
That's interesting. I just know that I maintain I don't know who's going to beat the San Francisco Giants.
Yeah,
I mean,
they look nice.
Are you kidding me?
Is looking decent,
and they look like they look like how the Mets are as advertised as far as that starting staff, and they got arms and they've been there, and it's an even year. I mean, I hate to sound superstitious, but geez Louise, these guys seem to turn it on at the right times.
Everybody said in the offseason, the Cubs, look at what the Cubs are doing. And I said the second that they didn't sign Greinke and they didn't sign Cueto, look at the Giants. The Giants have said, we got a nice little team here. Why don't we add 2 starting pitchers? Look at what happened last year in the NLCS. Yeah. The Cubs with all their lineup, they showed up, and the Mets pitching staff buzzsawed through them in 4 games.
And it's going to be the same thing again.
Yeah, it's going to be the same thing again because they strike out a lot. And then you look at a guy like Drew Pomeranz. Drew Pomeranz from San Diego came out and shut them down.
Yeah.
Because he has swing and miss stuff. So when you have swing and miss stuff, they have a bunch of minor leaguers that just came up. These guys know how to get you out, dude.
And when you get to the playoffs, most of those starters got swing and miss stuff.
Yeah.
That's why they're in the playoffs.
I don't agree with Zach Greinke, though, because I'm not high on Zach Greinke.
He's
the spotlight's too much for him.
Yeah. And he even said as much.
Yeah.
I'm not crazy for Zach Greinke, and you guys will get a good laugh out of this one, is that I missed my fantasy draft in one of my leagues, and who was my first pick? Zach Greinke.
Can you believe that? Auto draft will get you every time. I'm a hardcore New York guy. If I ever auto draft in fantasy football, I wake up the next morning, I check it, and it's just Eagles and Cowboys. It's just Romo and DeMarco Murray with Sam Bradford backing him up and Dez, and I'm like, oh, good God.
What happened?
Everybody's going to get hurt, and then I got to root for terrible. I just go, take my $50.
Just take my money.
I'm deactivating the account.
That's it. Just take the auto wins. Now, speaking of you being a New York guy, though, let's talk New York baseball. And I want to start with the Evil Empire because them Yankees, they're on a 5-game winning streak. I don't think it's coincidental that it's just when they got Aroldis Chapman back. Hey, man, you don't have to score a lot of runs to get to the 6th inning with a lead. Right. And when you get to the 7th inning with a lead with them, the game is over. You're not scoring on Betances, Miller, and Chapman.
They're the new nasty boys.
They are the new nasty boys, and we got a Cincinnati guy here.
There will never be another Nasty Boys.
Truth be told,
we're pretty close right
Truth
here.
be told, I'll take these guys over the Nasty Boys. The only reason I would take the Nasty Boys is because they have a ring. but you're talking that was Dibble, Charlton, and Randy Myers.
Randy Myers.
So you're going.
But they had the ring too. They got the ring. Nasty Boys.
No, that's what I'm talking about. Has the ring. These guys don't have it. Ross Chapman doesn't have a ring.
Yeah.
He just got cheese and a crazy slider. And now if you look at these guys, you talk about swing and miss stuff. All three of these guys would be the dominant closer on any team in the major leagues.
Absolutely.
Betances is got to be one of the best team guys in all of sports.
Right.
Because he hasn't complained one bit about not being the guy.
His whole career.
They've yo-yoed him, and he still performs. Unlike how it happened with Jabba Chamberlain.
Right.
They've yo-yoed him, and he actually still been able to figure out, I can still strike guys out, whether yo-yo me or yo-yo ma or whatever. You know, it's all good. I can still strike guys out no matter what the soundtrack is.
Right.
I'm getting you. And because he's got that wipeout slider, he's got crazy cheese.
And the Yankees don't have offense, though, so they need to get a lead before the fifth inning.
They got to do something. Well, see, I don't know about that because they actually can hold. They can hold you
right
to whether or not they have the lead. They can hold you.
I have to see it against a better team than Oakland A's, though. You know, Oakland has never been known for its superior offense since the steroid years.
Well,
they gave it to a high hold real quick. Yeah. They gave it to a highly potent offense of the Arizona Diamondbacks, though. Before Oakland.
Yeah. I was going to say about Houston, this is what I think about the Yankees. I think it's just getting late early, as they say. You know what I mean? They dug themselves a big hole. I think the Yankees are set up, especially with that bullpen, to be incredible in the late innings and to be able to dominate teams. But I think the great thing with the Yankees is next year they can get whichever free agent they want. They're always going to have the money. There's no salary cap. Who wants $200 million? There's a check on the table. Just come and get it.
Right.
But right now they've got themselves in a big hole. The AL East, pretty strong. I mean, Baltimore is out of the gate strong.
Baltimore looks great.
Boston, I mean, it's just a heavy division. So I think it was just they put themselves in too much of a hole, but they look like they're building something there for the future.
I mean, they're still only a couple games out of first place.
Right.
It's not their hole isn't that deep.
Right.
I still don't see anybody beating Boston in the AL East this year.
Oh, Baltimore? You don't think Baltimore got them?
I keep watching Baltimore fall apart, and it bothers me. Not in games this year.
Right.
2 years ago, Baltimore should have went to the World Series, and they could have beat the Giants.
Right.
And that whole fiasco happened with Major League Baseball when they didn't give Chris Davis his prescription or whatever it was, and they suspended him for the rest of the playoffs, which was huge because Kansas City went in there and mopped them up. But I watch consistently these Buck Showalter teams that seem to fall apart. I don't want to put it on Buck because he's a great manager, but this year they got.
That lineup is stacked. It's the best lineup in baseball.
Best lineup in baseball.
It's not even close.
They have the best lineup in baseball.
But now you got Chris Tillman and Kevin Gausman that are throwing the ball really, really nice. And then Giovanni Garlado's coming back, and if he throws,
and that's who you need.
Anything,
that's who you need.
It's good. And they have
he's another underrated guy because I don't like what I'm seeing from Ubaldo Jimenez.
He's finished.
He's giving me classic Ubaldo now. Yeah. He's giving me,
I'll have a number 3.
Yeah, I'm going to take Ubaldo number 3, which is 6 runs over 4 innings to go. No, actually, no, let's make that for here. Yeah, he's giving you classic Ubaldo.
Yeah, poor Ubaldo Jimenez. Wherever he goes, it's like he's pitching at Coors, right? Remember that was the excuse forever? It's like, he's got a higher ERA, but he's pitching at Coors. Like, Coors just seems to follow him around.
It really does.
Air is lighter wherever he goes.
It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable.
He sucks up a lot of the heavy air.
Right?
I don't know what it is, but I don't know. Something about Boston that I see watching these games. They got a great mix. And they have a great mix of veterans and kids. The veterans know, and the kids are believing.
Big Papi almost hit for the cycle.
Come on, dude. And it's his last year. And I mean, that guy has a lot of pride in his game. They have a decent bullpen. Not
Is it his
necessarily
last
great.
year?
It said he announced it.
I haven't heard anything about that.
We didn't notice. We didn't notice with the farewell tour.
I'm not a big fan of farewell tours personally, but at the same time, man, Big Papi's a monster.
Yeah,
he's a stud.
Papi's great, but the farewell tour is great. Like it's every day is the last something.
Exactly.
This is the last middle game of a 3-game series that Papi will play
step out
in
the middle
Houston.
Of that back, wave your hat to everybody. Hey, dude, it's 1 and 2. Come on,
it's just
I think Kobe's probably getting jealous of Big Papi's farewell tour.
I'm sure of it.
He's going to go back in the league to get another farewell tour.
Nobody in history got the farewell tour that Kobe got. Kobe's farewell tour was sickening. Like it was
Disgusting.
like
And
it
that
was.
last game as well. Oh my God! Are you kidding, dude?
It was an exhibition game.
Oh, forget
I have
about
seen less nut riding in porn than I seen on the Kobe tour. This Kobe farewell tour was despicable.
You know,
I can't believe that.
For his last game, I did something called the Kobe Bryant Shot Challenge, where I took a shot of whiskey every time Kobe took a jump shot.
Oh man, I'm surprised you made it.
I'm surprised I made it too.
I cut him off. I was with him.
I took 40 whiskey shots, and in the middle, I'm just like, this guy, I mean, he can't be serious. How you going to take 50 shots? I would
Are
be
you kidding me?
embarrassed to take 50 shots
my
in a
goodness.
basketball
Oh
game.
man, you need to listen. I think it was the podcast 6 or 7, but this guy went in. He really. Oh my goodness. He still.
I couldn't believe it.
You can still see the bitter beer face.
Rubbed me so
he
so
can't
far
take
the
it.
wrong way, dude. It was unbelievable, and everybody was applauding it.
Yeah.
Well,
Hey, did you see that? Like, yes, it was terrible.
Yeah, and that's the thing. And the minute you call him out, like Joe and I did, oh, haters,
Right.
you guys you're just jealous. No, I'm not jealous. I just know he's being a ball hog, and that the Jazz aren't even trying to play defense.
Exactly, and this is an NBA game.
Yeah,
We're not at the park, dude.
right.
It's an exhibition for one of the greatest ball players of
I mean,
all
if
time.
Poppy just decided it was his farewell tour, he's pitching every fifth day. Like,
That's what it was like.
Yeah,
that's the equivalent of it.
that would
And
be
see,
like
the other
Red
side
Sox
of it is,
respect
Or
him.
they just threw him BP.
yeah,
come on,
and
dude.
the other side of it is that one, obviously the Red Sox are in the middle of a competitive season, and unlike the Lakers, and two, he's still competitive. You know, you watch the whole season. You watch Kobe Bryant play two quarters a game, maybe on the games that he did play. Big Poppy, just as we just said,
And
almost
shoot
hit for the cycle.
25%, yeah.
And I tell you what, this is good. We're a long ways off of it. I think it's a guy like a Jackie Bradley Jr. who could actually challenge DiMaggio's streak because he can beat balls out.
Yeah, infield singles.
Yeah,
and everything.
he's got it.
Yeah.
You know, to get a streak like that, you're going to need some help.
Yeah.
You're always going to need, something's going to have to bounce your way.
But he's going to
Katie and Ernie are over here passing sexting messages or something.
But
what is going on with you two crazy kids?
All that Kobe talk got them all worked up.
That's what it is. It's like,
They're setting up
Radio
for,
Gaga.
they're scheduling a hotel room in Colorado right now.
Wow. Yeah,
but you know what, Jackie Bradley, though, he does have a chance, but, there's some big arms out there.
I was going to say.
Yeah, there's some big arms out there.
56 games. This has got to be one of the greatest. Honestly, this has got to be one of the greatest
Accomplishments
in sports. This is, and nobody really talks about it.
Yeah.
56 is a third of the season.
Come on,
right?
dude.
I mean,
You're
that's-
getting knocks.
What did Pete Rose do? Did he do upper 40s?
Yeah.
I mean, Pete Rose was just what he did is put together arguably the best career in Major League Baseball
I know,
history.
no, but I'm saying as far as that streak.
Someone's
He did
gotten
multiple,
closer.
yeah,
But
he had
somebody's gotten
multiple.
a little bit closer, I think, than Pete
Yeah.
Rose has, right? Who was that? Somebody in Milwaukee.
Paul Molitor, I think.
Yeah, I think it
or
was Paul
Robin Yount. One of
those guys
One
got
of
a
those
little bit
guys.
closer
Yeah.
than Pete Rose. And it's just unbelievable to do. You can't even
unbelievable.
pick 56 games
Of random guys
Yeah,
getting
like
a hit.
of random guys
let,
getting hit.
alone one guy getting
to
on.
beat the streak that
To beat
MLB gives.
which
Yeah,
is a great
Yeah.
thing.
You know, I used to do this thing in college. A buddy of mine taught me. It was I wasn't a bookie, but I would play this game with my buddies. You could bet, up to $5. You could pick 3 players, any 3 players in the league. And if they got 6 hits, I pay you. If they don't get 6 hits, you pay me. So everybody's got to go 2 for 4, basically.
Wow.
And
So you're a
all I
bookie.
did was make money. All I did was make money
Right.
because people are like, what are you talking about? Derek Jeter will get 3 hits today,
No,
and then
no.
I'll take Bonds, and I'll take no,
No.
because guys go 1 for 4. That's what happens in baseball.
Or
You go
0 for
1
4,
for 4,
yeah,
or
right,
0
your
for 4.
sport.
Yeah, and so the idea that somebody gets a hit in 56 straight games, I think you're right. Jackie Bradley is the kind of guy who will challenge him, but it's not going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, as you know, as a bookmaker, the numbers actually say he probably will not do
And
that.
just look what they can do to you in baseball. If you get close to it or if it's a tight game and you get up and
it's late in the game, they can
it's
walk you.
Yeah, and you're 0 for 1 and now you get a walk and it's
Yeah.
over.
And it's over, just like that.
Yeah,
it's
just like that.
In crazy street. That's an impossible
Anybody out
streak.
there wants to bet that he doesn't get to 35? I got it.
You're taking bets?
I'll take under 35. Anybody who wants it. What's he at?
Wow.
27?
Give him your 27. Give him your
27.
Twitter handle.
At Fix Your Life on Twitter. If you want to bet that he goes over 35, I'm right here. It's 8 more games. All he's got to do is get 8 more games.
He's a man of many trades: baseball coach, comedian, bookmaker.
Yeah.
He does it all.
Yeah. All he's got, he's already got 27. All he's got to do is get 8 more.
Wow.
I'm taking under
That's a good
35.
bet
Who
there.
wants
Wow,
it?
that is a good bet.
Well, let's stay in baseball. You know what? I'm just reading something right now. They're saying the Mets just lost Lucas Duda to a lower back stress fracture.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's supposed to be a serious injury.
Now, if it's me with the Mets, I put I don't know if it's Conforto, but I think maybe I put Conforto at first and then play the outfield as it is.
The Mets, this is what's really disappointing about them because they keep platooning Conforto, and I do not understand it.
Disgusting.
How would you ever learn how to hit a lefty if you never let me face him?
Yeah, well, they've slowed down on platooning him as much. He's getting more and more at that.
Side note, the game's fucking already started, and I didn't set my lineup. I want to kill somebody. No, I had to do a dumbass podcast before this one, so I didn't get to set my lineup.
You got screwed.
Those idiots beforehand always fucking shit up.
Anyways, go ahead.
Yeah, sorry.
Would you like to see the two players on the DL that are in my lineup?
I mean, I was going to say, is Lucas Duda starting at first for you?
No, but Marte and Reddick are still in, and I got other players that I could have put in, like Jason Worth.
But Conforto,
anyways, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Platooning less and less, but I agree with you. Conforto played third base in college. I would like to see him move over there to play first. He's been great in the outfield for us, but move him over to play first base a little bit. You get Lagares back in playing, center field, playing great defense. But Conforto is insane. I agree with you. That kid should be playing every day. I don't care who. I don't care
who's throwing.
I don't care if he strikes
out 3 times a game.
I don't care if Kershaw. He did a bomb off Clayton Kershaw.
Yeah, exactly.
He proved himself. You do that.
Hey, man, you're in.
And I don't understand how you hit a guy 3 one day, and then he's
down to
not
6 or 7 hole or not in the game.
Or not in the game. Your 3 hitter is your 3 hitter. If you don't know who your 3 hitter is, you can't be a big league manager. If you don't know who hits 3 for you.
Wonder about the culture in the clubhouse and if they're a culture of winning or not. Along the lines of how they're treating Matt Harvey and all the speculation, this is why they seem to be destined to be forever little brother to the Yankees.
The one thing I'll say about Terry Collins, he makes insane decisions, platooning guys, bullpen guy, the way he manages his bullpen, the way he arranges a lineup on a day-to-day basis. The one thing that excites me about this Mets team, though, they really, really like each other. They really get along. They have fun. You talk about the way the Royals were a team. You see it with these Mets. Like Bartolo Colon hits a bomb, the whole dugout leaves in unison. When Bastardo got them out of the 9th in San Diego, they give him a championship belt. These guys like each other top to bottom in the roster. And even Cespedes, Cespedes, everybody was going, do you really want to sign Cespedes? This guy's been on 10 teams in 10 seasons, blah, 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 blah. They like him. Everybody has fun. These guys are smoking cigars in the locker. They like each other. And Terry Collins isn't a great strategic manager, but he's got them all happy. And that, I think, is something over 162 games that you can't, you almost trade it for like a shitty bullpen decision here and there.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? But the way that he came out and blasted Harvey, though, it wasn't acceptable. He came out and said flat out, I don't know if he's going to get the ball the next time. I don't know if he's going to make his start. Right. Obviously, he's going to make his start. He's starting tomorrow, which is Tuesday.
Right.
But the thing of it is that you can't do that to him. The guy's already having a problem. You can't throw him under the bus.
Mess with his confidence even more.
You're saying that this guy
ace.
This is
you
your ace.
You got to treat him like he's ace.
Let him have a problem. It's all right. This is life. We have problems.
Yeah, but this goes to a deeper conversation about
you want to go deep.
I'm trying to go deep.
Why are you going so deep nowadays?
30,000 leagues under the sea.
Come on, man. I'm going to drown.
No, can't do it. I got to take you there. But this is part of the problem. Is that in America, and this is why you got kids killing themselves and so on and so forth, because another person's Instagram, which is their fake life, looks better than your real life.
Right.
And we don't have the confidence and the understanding that things aren't always peachy, they aren't always rosy, and you have to deal with things in life, things that you don't want to deal with. And whether that's a dead arm like Matt Harvey, or whether that's the fact that some idiot is at a strip club on Instagram that you actually want to be at. And those
are just highlights.
This is the thing. And everybody can be around when things are going well. And I really fear this is where we are coming to in society, is that we've become a bandwagon and a front-running society. Like now everybody's a Cubs fan.
Right.
Everybody's got something to say because everybody's a Floyd Mayweather fan. Everybody's you can pick and choose whoever it is. Everybody, if you win, everybody's with you. And when you don't, you're a jerk. And not only now, because of the anonymity of the internet, not only are you a jerk, you're the worst person that's ever lived. You should kill yourself. You're blah, blah, blah.
Piece of crap, huh?
Yeah, and that's a real problem, man. It's a real problem in society. You can't go that way.
I completely agree with you, and it's the way we build things up just to take them down. I mean, last year the Mets go to the World Series, and
surprisingly for most people,
surprisingly, right? But because they were put on the national stage and everybody saw them, and you got John Smoltz saying their staff's better than the Braves. I mean, as a Mets fan, this year when they start out they're a game and a half out of first place, but every day on Twitter, because I'm a well-known Mets fan, people go, "What's up with your pitching staff? I thought your pitching staff was the best thing in the world. Oh, what happened to the great Atlanta Braves challenging young pitching staff?" It's like, hey, if they get in the wild card,
you got problems.
And Matt Harvey has to start that wild card game.
I'm betting,
and you don't know who's starting for the other team. I like our chances. Dead arm, not dead arm.
Exactly.
I'm with you, man.
All that stuff. So it's just the way people, they love to build you up just to tear you down. And it's awful. It's just
awful.
It's all
negative.
instant reaction.
It is.
Right?
Everything is instant awesome
It's so
now.
instant. And you're so right as far as the bandwagon. I mean, look at the Warriors. If the Thunder win this series,
oh my goodness.
Everything
everything they've accomplished is all of a sudden null and void.
Yes,
yeah.
not.
And then all the kids are going to go out and go to Hot Topic and dress like Russell Westbrook or whatever the hell he's wearing now. And, all the kids, it's like everybody. Is Hot Topic? I don't know.
Go to the Goodwill.
Yeah.
Actually, to dress
What's Hot Topic? I don't even know. Is that like a chick's clothing store?
I don't know.
He just made it up, dude.
It's your riff, bro.
Because Katie over here is like,
He's just like me.
Katie's looking at me like, what is he talking about? But you're right, though. It is everything's so instant, and it's so, you're a loser, you suck, and it's like, we always talk about it.
Hold on a second.
And if you're not a developed enough person, real quick, if you're not a developed enough person to let that roll off of your shoulder, and you're not introspective enough to know that you have value outside of what everybody else tells you your value is, you run into problems that we have in society where people are running up in movie theaters shooting people, where people are going to school and shooting people, where this is a situation that breeds insanity. Sorry.
No, you're absolutely right. And I think you see it, we've talked about the internet, people's Instagram that's not really happening, or the way people come at you on Twitter that would never say anything to you
never
in real life.
Never.
You know what I mean? We were just talking about, we did a thing the other day, and I was having a conversation, and you commented on the board. They said, what if the Warriors don't win? Does the 73 mean something? You said it doesn't mean anything.
I agree.
And I think that
takes it away.
See?
You agree with yourself.
No, hold on.
I'm not surprised.
I think if they don't win it all, and it's like I said about the Patriots.
Right.
It's 16-0 is great, but I mean,
no, it's about championships.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that it doesn't mean anything. Maybe I shouldn't have said that. I shouldn't have gone that far. But really, what does it mean? If they lose to the Thunder, what does that 73 games really mean, though?
I mean, it means
You
that
had a
they
good
had,
season?
Also, you got to look at, this is that team that had 67 wins last year, a championship, and 73 wins. That's a pretty good 2-season run.
That's an incredible
At the
run.
end of that 2 seasons, did they not win their second championship? That doesn't discredit anything that they did over those 130 games. For 130 games, they were far and away the best team in basketball.
Yes and no, though, because now if you ask me, they caught, and it's not over yet. But that's why I am very interested to see how this series is going to play out, to be honest.
Yeah.
Because ultimately, these guys were the beneficiary of a lot. Not that they did that, but they were a beneficiary of a lot of great luck and bad luck for other teams.
Sure.
No matter how you slice it, maybe the Clippers don't beat them this year. But you know what? It's really good luck that both Clippers superstars got hurt in the game against Portland.
Right.
So they play a Portland team that obviously doesn't have a chance. Last year, the Clippers fell apart to the Rockets. Last year, LeBron James plays them in the finals pretty much with 4 or 5 guys that he found on the street hanging out. Which is, matter of fact, Dellavedova looks like you guys could be related. But I think that I think that's why you said that, and I can see that. And this is why the Cavs play with this chip on their shoulder that they're playing with, which is to prove, you know what? I don't know about the other games that they won, the 73 and the 67 and the blah, blah, blah. But against playing us, if we have our full squad, they're not better than us.
Right. But the point is, it's a hot take culture.
That's exactly the point.
Everybody has to say, everybody has to go, here's the way it is. And it's like, hey, man.
And it's all extreme.
Yeah.
Nobody, it's not interesting enough. It's like being a shock jock. It's not interesting enough if you actually just have a take where you're in the gray area of life, which is where most of life actually takes place, to my experience.
Right.
You either have to be completely black or completely white. It's all hot or cold.
And it's really never that way. It's really
never in life. There's always
never.
complexity. Come on, man. Are you kidding me? Eric Spoelstra was on the court when Hank Gathers died, and now he's coaching a player that has a potential heart issue. Are you crazy? That's gray as hell. You can't. You know what I mean? Think about all the emotions that he's thinking to try to give proper advice or whatever. Right. That's like life is a trip, man. But
you went deep.
I can go even deeper.
Wow. How deep?
So can Steven Adams' dad.
18 kids deep. Wow. That's deep. Yeah, I can't go that deep. That is.
I think you could go that deep. That
is Barry White deep. But you know what? It's a trip because I was just having a conversation too along those same lines about the media and everything. There's something going on in the world. I'm gonna just wrap this up real quick, but there's something going on in the world people don't even know about. In France, they're having crazy protests all over France because a law got put on the French people to basically make their society more like the American people, where they're going to get less vacation time. Their insurance is going to be determined by X, Y, and Z and blah, 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 which is different from the society that they have now. The French people, unlike the Americans, actually decided, no, we're having a protest, and that's that. You can't get gas in France right now.
Wow. I haven't seen
anything about this on the news.
No, I haven't heard anything.
So say you have some business to handle in France and you think, oh yeah, I got to pop into Paris and then we're going to drive to Lyon and do blah, blah, blah. And you're stuck like Chuck because it just speaks to the power of what we're doing as the media collectively. You can suppress ideas, you can censor ideas, or you can open them up. Wow. It's crazy. You guys go do some research on that.
You went deep. America, the United States, we have CNN, we have NBC News, ABC News. All over the world, there's 25 of our channels, and for a lot of Europe, it's BBC, right? Like they have
and various versions of the BBC,
and various versions,
1, 2, 3, 4,
right? Exactly. So now the story is they're protesting because France is becoming more like us. Our 25 news channels isn't about to do a story that like people are protesting because they're going to become like America. And the one channel in every one of those countries might be telling the story, but we own the media conglomerates. We own the New York Times. We own all these things. So
we tell the story.
Exactly.
And as a storyteller, it's what I do for a living. If you let me guide the narrative, I can make you believe anything I want you to believe. There's just no two ways about it.
So there's 11 ESPNs, and the story is Draymond Green kicks Steven Adams in the nuts.
Yep.
Instead of France, you can't get gas.
You can't even get gas. Like, you can't make any moves. So, guys, I mean, this has been a very special, this is like that holiday edition of Family Ties when you watched it. This has been a very special edition of the Ozone.
The black family adopts 2 white kids.
And I can't find one good clipper in this house to cut these coupons.
Now go to your room.
No good clippers. Anyway, so I really appreciate you guys coming over from Dirty Sports.
It's been awesome.
Andy, you're great. Tell the people where they can find you.
Thanks for having us. At Andy Ruther on Twitter.
And you guys really support these guys. They're cool guys. They're very knowledgeable. You guys went deep with me, which I appreciate. Joe, tell them where to find you.
I'm at Fix Your Life on Twitter, and obviously we're at The Dirty Sports is our podcast. If you like this, you could listen to the same thing again a second time because you guys were our guest on a very special episode of Dirty Sports where we adopted 2 black brothers.
See that?
So,
well, all right, brother.
Check us out.
So, wrapping it up here on the Ozone, I feel good about the session. T, you brought up some great points. Icons, good work. I'm going to leave with a quote like I always do. I'm going to go with the big mega church minister, Joel Osteen, down in Houston. And Joel had to say, if you cannot be positive, then at least be quiet. And it's true, and it kind of fits with the theme of what we're talking about in general. Guys, pick up the positivity out there, help each other out, and be brothers. Ozone, we're out of here. Peace.
Ozone.